Good afternoon, everyone. One of the things you've heard the governor talk about today is competition. And I want the people of Nebraska, the people of Omaha to understand that this business climate right now that we are working to build is our Super Bowl. We have to run new plays. We have to expect to win companies, jobs, and people. We have to get suited up. We've got to be willing to have the courage to go for it on 4th down. Governor, you know what I'm talking about. Senator Von Gillern, thank you for your efforts in carrying this football and this bill forward. You better believe that I'm hardwired to compete with the gravel scars that I still have from our competitive days in 1975 when my chief of staff, Tom Warren, and I were on a city champion football team for Horseman Junior High School. I might add that we were undefeated. And I'm always going to compete hard for Omaha and Nebraska. And this bill will help Omaha and Nebraska outcompete other cities and states. Look, we want our existing companies like the Union Pacific Railroad right down the street to stay and grow. As soon as UP announced its proposal to be America's first transcontinental railroad, I threw my full support behind them, and I remain steadfast in wanting UP to grow here. But this bill is about more than one company. It's about a concerted effort, a team effort, to drive growth for our state and for this city. This bill can help other job creation projects. We want to keep the businesses that we have in Omaha and Nebraska here and have them be able to expand here. This is about the future of Omaha. This is about the future of Nebraska, and we are going to compete. We are going to make this the best business environment in the United States of America so that we can outcompete everybody else. So I want to thank the governor for his support, Senator Von Gillern, the Omaha Chamber, as well as the Nebraska Chamber, and all of the state senators and other partners for making this opportunity a reality. So thank you all for being here today. This is our Super Bowl.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you to all of our speakers today for their continued leadership and partnership in the economic development space. At this time, as I shared earlier, everyone on stage would be willing and is happy to take questions from the media. All we'd ask is for you to please raise your hand, state your name and the organization you are with, and we'll do our best as I look to Laura to see how many questions we can get through with the time constraints we've got. So that being said, we turn it over to the press. Cindy.
Yes. Cindy Gonzalez from the Nebraska Examiner. How worried are you that UP may relocate?
Who is this question to, I should ask?
You and the governor, please.
I'm sorry,
Cindy?
Asking how worried are you that UP may relocate its headquarters?
Yeah, well, you know, I think that what all of us do, we work very, very hard, build relationships. When you build relationships and you have conversations, you have trust. I think that Union Pacific, in my conversations, I've worked hard with Union Pacific, just as the mayor has. In my conversations, we're committed to Omaha. We're committed to Nebraska. Union Pacific is Union Pacific because it's the people of Nebraska that's helped it from the days of building a railroad across Nebraska. So, I think this is a moment of all Nebraska. This is a great incentive for every company, and obviously a stimulus to say, gee whiz, when a company's going to fill the headquarters up and fill the tower and rent and have more space, we the state of Nebraska can help. So can it help Union Pacific? I hope it brings 2,000, not just 500. However, it's gigantic for everybody in Nebraska, all size businesses across the state.
I would echo the governor. The Union Pacific Railroad has been a great community and corporate partner, not just in Omaha, but across the state of Nebraska. They've had deep conversations with Governor Pillen, with Mayor Ewing, with the Greater Omaha Chamber, the Nebraska Chamber, and others, in the sense of their desire to want to continue to see their growth happen in Nebraska. And so I think if anything, this proposal, as we shared, is not all about one company. It's about opportunities to make the region and the state more competitive overall. And I think we feel from the Greater Omaha Chamber that we have great partners and friends with Union Pacific in terms of wanting to see that similar kind of economic growth happen, not just here in Omaha, but across the state of Nebraska.
One more question on that. Is the state currently engaged in negotiations regarding incentives with UP?
Honestly, the question was the state involved in negotiations with UP on this?
Incentive package?
You know, there was, this had nothing to do with any negotiations. This just had to do with coming up with really, really good policy that is outstanding for everybody across the state. I don't think we can use it enough, Mayor. The word, this is about competing so that we can help every single Nebraska business, from the river to Harrison, from Omaha to Ogallala, whatever you want to call, and everybody in between. It's about growing business in Nebraska, because every business can grow and create extraordinary value for the state of Nebraska, for the people of Nebraska, and then our country. So it's everything. There was no negotiation with UP.
And I would just echo the governor's conversation, his comments, as well as the chamber president, Heath Mello. There was no negotiation with any company. What I've been doing, the governor and others have been doing, is going out and talking to our companies and letting them know that they are appreciated and we want them to stay here. And so we're trying to create a competitive environment so they will stay here and they will grow here. I've talked to a number of companies across this city to say, we want you to expand here when you look at future expansion, because some of them have expanded outside the state of Nebraska. Well, that doesn't work for me. I'm mayor of the city of Omaha and a citizen of the state of Nebraska, and I want those companies to expand here in Nebraska.
Cindy, I'll just make a quick comment. You and I spoke earlier today, and one of the things that's interesting when you bring a bill like this is you have to start with a framework. But what is, because we have to get that bill drafted, we have to get it into general file, we have to get it through the hearing process. But what happens at that point quite often is that those bills start to morph and they start to develop. And what's already happening is that there are other scenarios and there are multiple scenarios and multiple firms and multiple development opportunities that are kind of revealing themselves and saying, hey, we think this will fit for us, or if we make a slight tweak over here, we can grow also. So, you know, how the bill started or how this process started is not unique to one in particular company. But by the time we're done, I think it will impact a number of different developments and a number of different firms and grow jobs in many different places across the state.
Molly Hudson with KMTV. Pete, a question for you. When you're talking with businesses and people who are choosing to leave Omaha or the state of Nebraska or decide not to come to Nebraska, what are some of the reasons that they give you?
Well, in the economic development space, you know, we've been very clear it's very competitive. That this is a 50-state fight that everybody is in and day out. And issues such as talent, issues such as sites, available sites for building and growth are vital to any companies choosing to either grow in their own state or try to relocate a business like we'd like them to relocate to the greater Omaha region or to Nebraska. But we also know that the tax climate matters as well. And in some cases, the great work the legislature and the governor have done around taxes over the last 4 years has been vital to that effort for us to be able to make a more competitive case. But incentives like what we're talking about in 1165 is some of the research that our team did in concert with members in the business community, tax experts, and economic development practitioners who said we needed to have, as the governor said, kind of a groundbreaking approach to how we're going to incentivize existing companies here to grow and expand their operations, but also, you heard the mayor say, help bring people back here too, and help relocate people to our community, not just Omaha, but across Nebraska. So when it comes to the economic development landscape, a proposal like what we've got in front of us with LB 1165 makes not just Omaha more competitive, it makes every community in Nebraska more competitive, and arguably is going to put Nebraska on the map in terms of being able to help our existing companies want to invest more money, time, and energy to expand their operations and help us as a state essentially attract and grow our population base for the future. Dan?
Dan Cruiser from the Omaha World Herald. Probably a question for either the senator or the governor, but can you just kind of reiterate or expand upon some of the incentives outlined in this, that are part of this bill to attract these?
So expand on the incentives in this bill.
Yeah.
Maybe big picture. I might miss the detail, but big picture, really, really simple. Try to keep it as simple as possible so Nebraskans, we can all understand it. So, I call it 6, 8, and 10. So 6% incentive for employers that will bring people from out of Nebraska that are making around $60,000. Call it 8, that you'll get an 8% tax incentive if you bring people out of Nebraska making $90,000. And then it's 10% because, I've been around longer than dirt. I've seen everything take place in the state of Nebraska, and just calling it the way it is. I've been really disappointed in my lifetime about economic development because, the hardcore reality, I could go through countless examples of companies that were recruited to come to Nebraska because we got great people that work hard. And the caveat was, we don't have to pay them anything. Hogwash, that's pun intended. We today have to raise our self-esteem. This raises our self-esteem to say we're bringing people because we have great careers, great businesses that can pay $120,000, $200,000, $300,000 and a stimulus to grow their businesses here. We want to see Kiewit, who is growing their businesses, grow and build more office buildings and grow their business. They're building all over the world. This incentivizes to bring people to the great life. This city, seriously, go look around. This city is one of the best in the world. And by the way, it's the safest. I met with a company that is in the quick shop business. They're in 49 states here in the mainland. Guess what state they love doing business most? Nebraska. Why? Because they don't have to worry about safety. They know how safe we are. I think it's really important. And about competing, really, really happy to partner with President Gold. We've not been competing for our kids. We've not been competing for our kids. Our best kids with the highest ACT scores have been going everywhere else because they have better scholarships than what we could offer. We have our kids, 90% of our kids want to stay where they grow up. And yet we've been losing them because they could not afford to go to school here. We'll be going forward. Any kid that gets the scores in 33 and above will have a full room and board, full tuition, stipend to be able to stay here in Nebraska. We've got to get it to 32, but we're making progress at it. 3 years ago, we had the perfect ACT score, 31 kids in the state of Nebraska. That's the top quarter of 1% in the country. We recognize the 31, 80%, I met every one of them, 80% were leaving the state. Why? Because they could not afford to go to school here. Because all of our neighbors were giving them far better scholarships. So this is just an example. Over and over, we're competing. We're competing to win. We're not competing to come in second, we're competing to win.
Let's make a few comments about the terms that are in the bill. 1165, if you read it, it's very specific about a number of different things. The concepts that are really what I want you to focus on because just as a reminder, we've got a bill that we need to draft. It goes through a process. I have 48 business partners down there on the floor that I have to coordinate with to get anything across the line. So each one of them will have input on what the final bill will look like. But between now and the time that we have a hearing on this, which will probably be 2 weeks out, we are working on a white copy amendment that will fine-tune some of the details. The big points are it will create between 500 and 1,000 jobs. There'll be a sales tax credit provided to the company, and then there'll be a small investment on the part of the state that requires at least a 20-fold return investment on the part of the company in capital improvements. So again, it's a dramatic return on investment for what the state's providing.
Can you elaborate, Cindy Gonzalez with the Nebraska Examiner, a little bit on how this might attract smaller to medium employers, or how it might incent those companies to?
Yeah, this bill is not targeted at the small to medium-sized employers. We've got the Imagine Act that's out there that targets the employers of multiple sizes. We have other incentives. We've got the Small Business Innovation Act. We've got, which attracts or incents really micro businesses. So we have a number of different programs that the state provides that all have their unique targets. This is really targeted at the largest businesses out there and would create the largest number of jobs. So there are other programs that are more applicable to that.
That site fund, is that also for the largest companies?
The site and building fund exists for multiple sizes of companies, but yes, that'll be a part of this bill 1165 also.
Governor, Molly Hudson with Channel 3. You talk about keeping kids and families here in Nebraska. In the days since your teletown hall earlier this week, we spoke with parents with kids with special needs who were hurt by the comments that you used.
So we're gonna keep the questions on topic. Does anybody else have any last questions? All right.
So those comments don't affect the recruiting pitch for bringing people into the state, keeping people in the state?
Yeah, we're not gonna go into any other topic areas.
All right, thank you everyone for being here today. We appreciate you covering this important information. So we'll be around for individual conversations afterwards. Thanks again.